In the Battle of Scarif, once Director Orson Krennic gave the order to secure the beach and protect the Citadel Tower, Imperial ground forces decided to bring their AT-ACTs into the battle to defend against the advancing rebel infantry. The AT-ACTs were a formidable presence against the rebel commandos, but ultimately yielded to the firepower of the rebels' gunships, and showed that they were quite vulnerable when facing such opposition. But this vulnerability should not be too surprising, given that the Empire's AT-ACTs were not an assault vehicle, nor were they specifically built for combat. Therefore, while the AT-ACTs proved to be effective against the rebellion's ground forces, there are many differences that separate the Empire's AT-ACTs and its AT-AT vehicles. In this video expose, I will describe the differences between the Empire's AT-ACT and AT-AT walkers, with a focus on how these two vehicles differed in their armor and weaponry capabilities. The all-terrain armored cargo transports, or AT-ACT, were constructed by the Empire to feature a cargo bed that allowed the walker to transport heavy building materials or munitions to be used in combat. This dedicated cargo module found within the body frame of the AT-ACT provided 550 cubic meters of space, and allowed the vehicle to hold and transport thousands of tons of raw materials to assist in Imperial construction projects. Therefore, AT-ACTs could be found primarily within Imperial construction sites rather than within combat zones, as they were not designed or constructed for combat. However, even though the AT-ACT was not an assault vehicle, the walker was still well armed and armored. This added protection and weaponry was necessary to protect its valuable cargo. Each AT-ACT was equipped with two heavy laser cannons located on both sides of the walker's head. Although these two heavy laser cannons could provide impressive firepower, it was much less than that capable of the Empire's all-terrain armored transports, or AT-AT. Each AT-AT was equipped with two medium repeating blasters on both sides of the walker's head, but also contained two heavy laser cannons mounted under the chin of the walker. This weaponry allowed the AT-AT to provide much more firepower when compared to the Empire's AT-ACT. The two walkers also greatly differed in size. Whereas the AT-AT stood at over 22 meters tall, giving the assault vehicle a commanding psychological advantage against its opponents, the AT-ACT had a height of roughly 32 meters, almost 50% taller than the AT-AT. This additional height allowed the AT-ACT to move faster than the AT-AT, as it provided the walker with a greater stride, but it also limited the AT-ACT through increased instability. In order to make up for this greater instability, the AT-ACTs were provided with more powerful engines and supported through tensor field enhanced legs and strengthened knee joints. Another major difference between these two walkers was their drive crews. Because the AT-ACT was not a designated battlefield assault vehicle, it did not have its own specific or specialized driver corps. Rather, AT-ACTs could be operated by a large number of Imperial military drivers, including AT-AT pilots, Imperial tank operators, and other combat ground drivers. In contrast, AT-ATs were operated by pilots who specifically specialized in operating the Empire's AT-ATs. These pilots were some of the strongest soldiers in the Imperial military, demonstrating that there was a skill threshold that had to be passed in order to operate an AT-AT. While each AT-AT had two specialized pilots, they also had an AT-AT commander on board in order to oversee the operation of the walker and issue orders to the pilots. Finally, the AT-AT was far superior to the AT-ACT in terms of armor. Although the AT-ACT was armored in order to protect the cargo that was being transported, this armor paled in comparison to the armor of the AT-AT. AT-ATs were provided with armor plating that was completely impervious and resistant to blaster fire, including blaster fire from the Rebellion's T-47 airspeeder, as demonstrated in the Battle of Hoth. On the other hand, the inferior armor of the AT-ACT was demonstrated in the Battle of Scarif, as it took devastating damage from the Rebels' X-Wing and U-Wing starfighters. Therefore, the armor of the Empire's AT-ACTs was not as effective when compared to the armor of its AT-ATs. So there we have it, the differences between the Empire's AT-ACTs and AT-ATs, particularly in relation to their weaponry and armor capabilities. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for Biston.